Hello viewers, and welcome back to Epic Film Sleuth. Today we serve you a horror thriller recap of the film Titanic 666, which was released in 2022. As this recap unveils the mystery of what happened to the real Titanic, it is guaranteed to send shivers down your spine. Let's not waste any further time and begin the movie. Spoilers ahead. Watch out. The film begins with the original Titanic's drowning moment in the year 1916. As the ship breaks in half and begins drowning thousands of people, we see a young and scared girl named Elizabeth. She's separated from her lover when she's forcefully loaded on the rescue boat along with other women. When the cables are lowered to help the boat subtly reach the water, the cables mysteriously cut on their own and drown the boat. Elizabeth survives and swims back up. She gets back on the overturned boat. Shivering in the cold, she watches her lover standing on a block of ice. He swims in the cold water to get to her. When he comes closer and emerges from the water, he turns out to be a malevolent ghost who pulls Elizabeth and drowns her in the water. Scenes cut to the present day, where news outlets give media coverage to the opening ceremony of Titanic 3, which is the replica of the original Titanic. It is said to be en route on the same path as the original Titanic did back in 1916. In the buzzing crowd, we spot a famous social media couple doing a live stream of the new Titanic. Before the ship sails, Titanic's captain, Rose, assembles her head of security, Hector, and the host, Julie. She introduces them to a former Navy officer, Brian Andrews, who will be providing a second layer of security because the ship hoards original relics extracted from the ruins of the first Titanic. As Titanic 3 begins its first voyage, loaded with people, we see a very dubious girl coming out of a suitcase in the cargo section. As she lurks in the darker pits of the ship, the influencer couple returns to live streaming the entire event. The strange girl, Edina, steals some clothes from an open closet and walks away. Julie doesn't spot as she's busy with people. Edina roams around the Relics Museum and takes out a ukulele from one of the cases to hold it dearly. When the condescending collector of the relics spots Edina, he lashes out on her for messing with such a priceless antique. Julie arrives there and makes sure Edina doesn't get mistreated by the angry collector Hal. Edina brings to their attention that they shouldn't have stolen these from the dead people from the sea because they put a curse on those who steal their items. Edina sneakily steals a gold coin and a hairpin before leaving. The influencers, Mia and Jackson, bump into Hal during their live stream and have a weird encounter with him. While they roam the hallways to record it for their live viewers, Edina returns to the storage unit at the bottom of the ship. Mia and Jackson are stopped by Brian, who claims to know every passenger on board as a part of security protocol. He doesn't want them going down, but they nicely dodge him and move on. Upstairs, Hal boasts to an old man about his entire collection being original, and even shows him the wedding ring of the first Titanic's captain, Edward, that he personally wears. Downstairs, Edina is seen holding Captain Edward's photo frame and a book of enchantments. Meanwhile, Rhodes calls her husband from her laptop while simultaneously getting ready on the ship. As the plot progresses, Mia and Jackson explore the lower section of the ship, where Edina is exposed, casting a spell to bring back the dead. Mia and Jackson watch her perform the ritual in which she cuts her hand with the pin she stole and smears her blood on Edward's photo frame. Mia and Jackson's fan follows them down as they're videoing the ritual on live stream. The three watch Edina summoning the dead, due to which the place quakes a bit. Rhodes also finds it weird when her call gets disconnected due to bad signals. The influencers walk back upstairs, where Hal judges them again. He tries selling Rose's original blue diamond necklace to her, but she gets offended by his touch. Jackson approaches to fight him, but Mia pulls him away. Later, Julie officially welcomes the passengers and makes them all bow down in a moment of silence for those who died in the original Titanic. Simultaneously, Edina's chants work, and the ghost of Captain Edward appears in front of her, who turns out to be her great-grandfather. As he opens the portal for the deceased, the influencers take a stroll on the deck. There, we spot the ghost of the violin player from the first Titanic. The influencers dance to the sweet melody, which soon turns into a high-pitched noise that pierces through their ears and cuts the entire ship's power. Jackson gets pulled into the darkness during this. When the power comes back on, Mia is approached by Hal, who offers her help. She returns to get her camera, but the dead violin player shows himself to her and kills her. The staff in the control room also face technical difficulties. Hal returns inside and helps an old woman try on a necklace from his collection. At the same time, the security discovers Mia's corpse and becomes concerned about the security breach. Rhodes also visits the control room and finds out all their signals and communication means have been scrambled. Rhodes, Brian, and Hector are soon told about Mia's corpse and begin investigating the cause of her death. Scenes cut to an engineer trying to restore the communication systems alone. He's haunted by another ghost, who decapitates him. The security finds Mia's phone and discovers the footage in which Jackson disappears. Hal approaches her, and she dies, giving horrific expressions. Since the cameras didn't catch the ghost, all fingers point to Hal. The security and Rhodes accuse him of Mia's murder since he was also spotted constantly messing with her and Jackson in the ship's surveillance footage. Idina casts another spell to kill the engines. Rhodes senses it and leaves to attend to the issue right away. Left behind, Hal argues with Brian, who temporarily detains him. When Rhodes returns to the control room, she finds out their engines are still not working, yet the ship is being driven into the minefields. She yells at the workers to fix the engines. She stands at the deck with tension. Brian approaches her and takes her to the engine room to personally see the problem. Julie offers an old woman to escort her to her room, but she humbly refuses. On her way, a ghost sucks the soul out of her and slashes her throat for wearing the necklace from Hal's collection. Rhodes and Brian manually start the engines, but the alarms start wailing, alerting the workers in the control room. They discover that someone has breached the engine room and killed one of the engines. Rhodes and Brian return and ask the worker, Parker, to contact the Coast Guard and seek help. They find out the only vessel on their route is hours away and can't help them. Meanwhile, Hal is visited by a ghost who strangles his wrists to haunt him. Next, Mia's follower, Nancy, concerningly shows Rhodes and Brian Mia's last stream, in which she can detect the ghost striking her dead. Brian doesn't believe this and escorts her out of there. When he returns to check up on Hal, he finds him on the floor, paranoid and fidgeting. They bring him to Rhodes, where he frustratingly tells them about his encounter with the dead. Simultaneously, the disappearance of Hector, the security head, becomes Rhodes's biggest concern. She orders Brian to detain Hal in his room for now. On their way, Brian spots Idina and stops her. Hal tells Brian everything about the curse Idina threatened him with in the beginning. She fools around at first, but then admits everything, justifying that they should face the consequences for stealing the dead people's possessions from the first Titanic and displaying them as relics. Perplexed, Brian decides to lock her up too. This leaves the guard with Hal, who is told to lock Hal in his room. On their way, another ghost appears in front of them. Hal quickly hides in fear while the security guard gets killed. Brian brings Idina to the detention room with his fellow from the Navy. He believes Idina is evil and a curse-casting witch. She starts laughing and summons Edward's ghost. Brian becomes baffled and tries shooting Edward, but the bullet crosses his body and shoots his own fellow. The power goes out in the control room, which has everyone turn on their flashlights. Rhodes sees a ghost and becomes horrified, but no one believes her. Subsequently, Idina gets powers from Edward's ghost and begins choking Brian from afar. She then walks away from there. Hal also starts packing up in his room. When Brian wakes up, he helps his fellow get up and leaves. The fellow gets devoured by another haunting dead man. Idina finally enters the control room, where everything begins functioning again. As her face cracks, it is revealed she's dead too. She starts driving the ship toward the same iceberg that punctured the first Titanic. Rhodes begs her to stop this, but she doesn't. Idina drives the ship in the iceberg's direction and cuts her own throat for theatrics. The iceberg punctures their ship from the bottom and causes the ocean water to fill the bottom half of the ship. Hal shows up in the control room, suggesting they should throw out the relics to lift the curse from the ship, but they don't take him seriously. Suddenly, the ship starts sinking just like the first Titanic. The people start running around like insects. Brian ends up stealing the diamond necklaces from the relics. There, Mia's ghost appears and shoots him dead with his own gun. Meanwhile, Rhodes unites with Hal and decides to opt for the small boats. Brian also turns into a ghost, which Julie doesn't detect, and howls at him. Simultaneously, Brian's ghost uses his powers to crush Julie with a boat. When Rhodes gathers the first batch to lower them down on the rescue boat, Captain Edward's ghost arrives and uses spells to cut down the cables and throw them off the boat into the ocean. It doesn't take long for the entire ship to sink and disappear. Hal is shown as the only survivor on a rescue boat. He rescues the drowning Rhodes from the ocean. He finds it ironic that the ghosts spared him, even though he stole the relics and killed everyone else who were innocent and in oblivion. Rhodes tries validating him, but he dies on his own and becomes a ghost. As he attacks Rhodes, the film ends. Hey, you made it to the end. If you found this recap engaging enough, you should subscribe to hear more from us. Thanks for watching and bye.